What do you think?
Probably ask how many months she's behind.
Yeah, that's not a bad question. It's a situational question,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's not bad. Um, but a little deeper on that, Jose, what would be another question you would ask that's a little similar to how many months behind are you? But deeper, anything you could think of?
I mean, the reason why it's going into short sale.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, wow. I don't know what it must be like to be going through that right now. You know what happened to get y'all here right now,
Mhm.
you know? And then she could open up, man, you know, mm, my husband passed away, or I lost my job, or I got sick, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, that'll give you more information about, again, listen, we're here to give people their options. We might not be buying their house. That might not be the might not be the end of the conversation, the relationship that we have with them. We might be someone just to, within reason, give them their options. You know what I mean? She might not know what all of her options are. And then that's where you, Jose, and everybody else, you plug into the network. And people that are more experienced, or they know more about these different scenarios, they could give them their options. um, then you could start getting into what happens. Okay, what happens if this short sale doesn't go through? What if that short sale has to be approved by the bank? um, what if it doesn't get approved by the bank? What do you do then? What have you thought about that? Where are you going to go? You're living in it now. What are your plans on if it does need to go to foreclosure and you can't pay, to start getting them thinking in those terms too. But very good um, questions. Any other questions you could ask a short sale prospect? I kind of gave some of them away right there.
Condition of the property is very important as well. We got to try and get into the mindset of the bank committee why they're going down this route. It's almost as important to know what the bank is thinking rather than foreclosing. If the true value of that house is what they're agreeing to sell it for, then why would it be of interest to us if we're in a falling market in that situation? So we gotta ask a lot of probing questions actually to understand this. It's not the same as foreclosure. It's quite different. She might just have to move for some reason. Maybe it's a family issue or something like that. And she's approached the bank, told her situation, look, this is my family situation. I'm going to have to move state, but the market's falling. We need to agree on a price we can sell this property. So it's a different mindset. We have to figure it out.
Okay, so from what I've gathered from this is that the action itself of short selling is usually when the person owes money for the lender or the bank, but the property itself might not be sold as much as that money or in the same value. So they have to request a short sale from the bank to lower the amount that they owe for the amount that they're going to sell the house for, which is generally less than it should be sold for, or a faster way to get it to be sold.
Yes, let's paint a picture, shall we? The economy crashes outrageously and the whole market across the whole USA goes down 50%. So I have a property, $400,000. Unless the bank starts agreeing to sell it for less than what's owed, the market is going to kill the housing market altogether. So banks will have to start agreeing to let us sell our houses for less than is owed if we have a severe falling market. Otherwise, nobody moves. So that will be a very dramatic crisis, and the government would probably have to step in and do something about that. Because I mean, you can't have a market that doesn't move. But it happens in individual markets. There's lots of different markets. So some markets are falling, some are going sideways, and some are even going up. So if this house is in a falling market, we need to know that, and we need to know the mind of the bank.
Okay,
So,
and what happens if the bank, let's say they agree on a price for a short sale, but the property of the house itself is in a bad condition or decrepit, and they cannot sell at said price they agreed with the bank on for the short sale, or it's not selling as fast as they could have. Like what happens then after that? Does the bank continue lowering the price, or do they have to wait out until someone buys at the house? Like I don't
yeah,
understand.
they generally go through a whole procedure, but you just described what's called a zombie property, and you get people abandoning properties, even banks. They can hold them for years because they don't want to go through the expense of foreclosing, because they then own a property and they can't sell that property, and they own it and they're responsible for the taxes, insurance, and everything else. They have to employ a realtor to look after the property, so they don't want to do that. So it becomes a zombie property. So that's essentially abandoned property. So, but the bank want their money, and so it's very difficult for everyone concerned. Nobody wants a falling market, but you don't want a long, sustained falling market. Dramatic, quick fall and bounce back. That doesn't really do any damage. It's a long, sustained fall in the market is where you're going to see properties getting into trouble. So you can even do a search for zombie properties, abandoned properties, and you get whole neighborhoods start declining because they become comps. So, but we're coming back to this situation. We need to know what's going on. We need to know that neighborhood. We need to know the market. We need to know the mindset of the bank. And when we're talking to sellers, we need to find out, as in all the calls, on motivation. Why are they wanting to move?
Did that answer your question, Mohammed?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I got it. It's just that the process itself, after, as I said, like if they don't get the property to sell, does that mean it's just completely abandoned after that? It becomes a zombie property? But
I mean,
like, what happens with the pricing itself? Because I assume the bank won't go any lower for after they agreed on
Yeah,
price.
the
the bank's
bank.
responsible for negotiating, and so in a
Yeah.
short sale, the bank, it's a complicated process because the bank has to first agree to this, right? And then once they agree, they're responsible for like negotiating the price. Like people submit their offers, and then the bank will either accept those offers or not, or not. But ultimately, as with anything, the market determines the price of the house. And
Yeah.
it's so it's not the bank or the seller. The short sale process is a request from a borrower to the bank to sell their house for less than they owe because for whatever reason they cannot or will not continue to make payments on it. And it's kind of just as simple as that. It's a complicated process. I'm not well versed in it. They take a long time. I know I tried to purchase some short sale properties back in 2008, 2009. And it was just a long process. I had to submit my offer, and then the bank would get back to you months later or weeks later or something. So I'm not super well versed in the process itself. It's just
They have a committee, they discuss it, they hope, like we do, the market will turn around and start going back up, and then everything will be solved. So
And when they discuss the price of the property itself, do they have to? I'm pretty sure they have to put in mind the fact that, oh, what if the market right now is going down, or what if the area itself is pretty vacant? Like, what do they do at this point? Do they refuse the short sale process? What happens?
They're assessing the risk. The only thing about is the risk. So they judge the market, which direction it's going to go. You know, how long they're going to give it. I mean, but every bank's different. You know, so there's a committee and they discuss them. They discuss the market. They generally know what's happened. If there's a unique situation, obviously they're going to take that into account. But there's a lot of houses they can remain empty for years, and the bank won't foreclose on them. You know, because they don't want to make that loss. They're hoping that the market will turn around. So it's each situation is unique, you know, and the market, we don't know how long it's going to go down for. I thought, personally, in my opinion, which is nothing at all, doesn't mean anything. But I think we've had a long ride up. I think we're due for a long ride down. And so we've got to judge whether these short sales, when we get them, are they worth it to us as an investor? What's the exit strategy? Is it just unique to this neighborhood? Is there something we can do to give it value? Is it more valuable to us? You know, taking to think about. We got a lot of questions to ask. Basically, that's what I'm saying there. You know, a lot of questions, a lot of complication, as Cody just said.
I have a question now from the seller's perspective. I mean, do they have to file for bankruptcy before going through that process? That's something that has never.
No, that's a different thing.
No.
Yeah,
But that's going to affect obviously their credit score at that point.
Yeah, it's complicated on a lot of different levels. So if you know, once a short sale is complete and they sell the property for less than what they owe, they get you get like a 1099 from the bank for the balance of the loan that you didn't have to pay, and now you have to pay taxes on that or something. And I'm not a tax guy. You know, we got James Crenshaw that you know is a tax guy and everything, but I'm saying it's a complicated thing. You know, it's not just I'm going to sell this house short and cut my losses. It's not. It involves many different people. Diana put it in the chat, like after it's agreed to and they have it listed with an agent, the seller has very little control of the process, and it's in the hands of the bank.
Basically with the bank. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Cody, were you able to close on any of those properties back in 2009?
No, I didn't buy. I bought a foreclosed property, but I didn't buy a short sale property. Short sale properties that I was looking at in California, they were in much better condition than the foreclosed properties I was looking at, because it was like a more proactive thing, you know, short selling. But they were just harder to get, you know, and they were commanded a higher price at that time when I was buying. It might be different now, I don't know, but you had to, you know, be willing to pay more, and the terms weren't quite as good on them.
Right.
Back in 08, 09, you know, that it's a lifetime ago now. So things
yeah. Back when the market crashed.
Yeah. I didn't mean to beat a dead horse or take this too long. I mean, originally Jose, good, you know, good call, staying on the call and getting the info, and you know, being, you know, trying to hang in there and not sound like you didn't know what you were talking about. I could appreciate that. But there's no shame in you know, admitting when you don't know something if it's critical to the call, you know, and you have to make that judgment call. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's another way to consider approaching these calls when we encounter something that we're not familiar with.
Appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, right on. As always, appreciate you putting in the work, man.
Another feedback I had also, I mean, there's not much questions you can ask, especially like I mentioned on the chat after it's listed, because they have very little control over what happens. Well, not now, you know that. But she kept referring to the husband too. Like the husband was the decision maker. The husband did it. I think you should have asked, you know, if the husband was around or something like that, maybe that would have helped to for you to get a better idea of maybe where they were at in the process. Sometimes what usually happens, or sometimes actually happens, is that the short sale doesn't get approved. Because depending on the agent or how the agent handled the process, that could affect also whether the bank approves it or not. So what I've seen happen also is they do it a second time with another person and it goes through. So I'm assuming that maybe an opportunity that we might have there is if it doesn't go through with the person, that it sometimes have to pass before you do it again with another agent, but could be an opportunity. But other than that, yeah, good job. And
You're right. Right after the call, I did kind of second thought about it. Like, man, I should have asked if the husband was there so I could speak to him. But she was already starting to sound short, with with her answers. But you're right. As soon as I got off the call, I did double think, and I was asking myself, why didn't I ask for the husband? So
yep. So to address
Sure.
Chung's question before we move on to the next call, and you cannot do a creative finance on a short sale. It's very hard to do so.
So if you still try to acquire the property, how do you acquire it, or what you do with it? Like, would you do a cash
Yeah,
sale?
exactly.
Oh, okay.
You would do a cash deal.
Yeah, that's the point I was, I guess, getting hung up on. We're essentially, in a short sale, we're essentially just speaking to the bank themselves. And it's not kind of a decision made by the seller. We cannot convince them of another price or negotiate that price with them. It's basically just negotiating with the bank. So if the bank sees a certain number is fit for, for loss prevention, how do we come in and help, or how do we integrate ourselves into this situation if it's already the least they can do?
Yeah. So if it's listed on the market and they get an offer, from a person who's gonna buy and live in it, for example, we can't compete with end users as investors. So at that point, we don't really have an opportunity there. We would have an opportunity, for example, if the property needs, work, which usually that's kind of the case. But yeah, that's where opportunity goes, with actually physical distress, where we can get it lower enough for a cash offer. So then the end buyer or the person who's gonna fix it and flip it can still make a profit. So yeah.
Bear in mind as well, Mohammed, it's a shifting situation. So imagine if the whole market is going down, then positions are going to change accordingly, and take that into account. That's why it's so complicated. So when we talk to the seller, what we're trying to gather in a short sale is the situation, to understand it, whether it's individual just to the seller, whether it's affecting the neighborhood for something's happens in the neighborhood, or is there something happening to the city and then the nation. There's all those things, moving targets we need to take into account. So with that bearing in mind, is say 2 years, 2 years from now we're having the same discussion and the market's gone down over those 2 years quite significantly, then there's going to be quite a different discussion, because we're going to have to adjust to that changed market. If it's just the individual, then there's something we need to concentrate just on that individual level. Does that help at all?
Yeah, I guess one last question. I know I've asked a lot today. What happens if the like the forecasted market situation is like, you kind of understand that it's going down, and for us investors that would be kind of an opportunity, but also what happens if it's an overall like thing for the whole country, and not a lot of house moving would be happening in that area? does that mean we shouldn't be investing in that property? It's a per case question, I understand, but like what makes it a bad offer for us to get involved in this property?
You always got to buy the property right. And that's always the question. So there's two things. I mean, one, if you're doing any kind of investing, anybody will tell you the way to be successful, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. So you could buy a property for, as much of $1 billion. If you hang on to it long enough, the value will come up. So the question that you're asking sounds like it's, hey, if there's a nationwide, there's a global pandemic, or there's a depression or a recession, or stagflation, where there's rising price, this crazy, these different economic things that happen, you could get caught in that. We're experiencing that a little bit with flippers getting caught having bought a property expecting to be able to flip it in a certain amount of time, but then interest rates rose, so they got caught holding the bag, and then they got stuck with a high interest rate hard money loan, and now that's a bad investment. So it sounds like the question you're asking is like, how do you know?
Yeah,
offer?
because last Wednesday we had a call where someone who was flipping actually were short on time, and they wanted to sell the property like fast enough, and they were kind of like rushing through the process. And I was just going over myself, if flippers are currently going in that direction and they're losing money and they're being hurt by the current market status, then what situation do we belong to? Because I just don't get it.
Well, we belong to all the situations. You got to buy it right, right? So you have to take that into account. But buying it right has to take into account the property, the condition of the property, the particular market that property. Real estate is extremely local. Real estate is a lagging indicator. Number one, you can't just flip a house in a day. You can't, you know what I mean? The economy crashes today. You can't just go sell your house tomorrow. It takes 30 days to get that sold. So real estate's a lagging indicator, number one. And number two, real estate is extremely, extremely local. You have to really know what is going on in that place. So kind of what Graham alluded to, hey, is this a nationwide trend is that's happening, or is it specific to this person because of health issues, or personal issues, or is it just specific to this community because the factory shut down or something like that? The reasons are innumerable and infinite. It could be anything. But that's what we buy it for, or what we would get into it for, would depend on what we could sell it for. And we would need to, in order to know what we could sell it for, or what we would do with it after, because we don't necessarily sell them all. Sometimes we keep them. So the answer is, it would just depend on what exactly our exit strategy would be with that, or holding strategy with it. But it would just depend on that specific piece of real estate in that specific market. We would need to know if we had somebody to sell it to, or if not to sell it to, do we have somebody that we're going to rent it to? Are we going to Airbnb this? Are we going to pad split it? Are we going to, whatever other strategies we have, is it a winter, a vacation rental? Is it, a combination? Is it, are we going to wrap it? We're going to buy this and sell it to an end user? We're going to have to do any work? There's a lot of variables that go into that to decide whether or not it's a buy for us.
That's the bottom line as well, whether it's a rising market, whether it's going sideways, or whether it's going down. What we're saying in this instance, in this call, we have to ask a lot of questions and find out. We need to know, and then we can determine whether it's a deal or not. The deals, no matter what the market's doing, whether it's national, local, or individual, there's a deal to be had. And so that's the point of these whole calls, is to learn the number of questions we need to ask really to find out whether it's a good deal. So that's really the bottom line. And in this call, yeah, we're all learning, so there's a lot more calls we needed to understand for this process, for us to determine if this was a good lead. And you have to be especially careful in short sales to ask a lot of questions and foreclosures so we understand the situation.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that basically in a normal home or a normal house deal, we just ask the questions we can get, which, what's the motivation, what's the price, etc. And if they do have like a very surface level motivation, we just accept it as is. But in a short sale, we have to understand why this is happening in the grand scheme of things, get to things that might not be obvious on the surface level, and get to things that need to be addressed in order to understand what can we do with this property.
Very good. Excellent. And that's the bottom line for every call that we do. We need to find out all the questions. And that's how we got it in the conveyor belt. We got cold callers initially, then we got lead managers. And our job as a lead manager is to dig deep to find out if this is a good deal, because there are a lot of questions to ask, So the more you can find out, on the initial cold call, the better. And from beginning to end, it's going to take a lot of calls for us to determine whether it is a deal whether a deal or not, because the seller is going to try and hide a lot of things that we need to know, quite frankly, and we need to be skilled enough to uncover those things and find out what the story is so we can determine whether it's a buy or not.
All righty. That was a great discussion. Good job.
I'm sorry I took a long time in this. I apologize. I understand. This might have taken too long.
No worries. Okay. Well, we might so maybe Shad can bring the person that specialized in foreclosure. They can bring it back and talk about short sales. I think that could be valuable, just short sales, so we can have like topic nights on that. All right. All right, let's move on to the next call. It's by Juan. I think this is Juan's first lead, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see how he did on his very, 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 very first day.
Oh, James?
Yes.
Hi, James. This is Juan, and I'm calling with Home Buyers Network. I was calling up to see if you have considered the possibility of selling.
Actually, I do want to sell that piece of property. That's
Beautiful.
That's one. Yeah, that's one that I want to sell.
That's the one that you're looking to sell. Okay, perfect. And now, is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions about the property just to get a better idea of the condition?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. Will you consider the property its in mint condition? I mean, if you rate your property from 1 to 10, being 10 brand new, how will you rate the condition of the property?
Oh man, to be honest with you, I would say middle of the road, 4 or 5. Like it needs a rehab. I mean, it needs a complete rehab. It's got really good bones, and it's just a matter of how how far y'all want to go with it. Whatever the end goal is where, if you just want to make a quick little rental, then yeah, throw a little bit of money into it. But if you're wanting to flip and make it a nice place, well, then you're going to have to spend more money. So it's really based on your end goal.
Got you. Perfect. Now, do you happen to have a price in mind when it comes to selling this property?
Yeah, I've been kicking around the idea somewhere in the upper 60s. I had a real estate appraiser guy that does a lot of rehab stuff, and that's what he told me. Now, like I said, this was a year and a half ago. And he just did some calculations on what he thought it would cost to rehab it. I mean, he was like, if you put 30 grand into it, it would, I don't know that you would exceed 30, but
Uh-huh.
I think it'd be less than 30, but there may not be enough meat on the bones after you did something like that that would make you guys interested. But I mean, if you're just trying to retail sell it, it might not be worth it. But if you're looking for investment property to rent, then that's, it would be
That
worth
could
it
be a
there.
possibility.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a bit confused there. So basically, you're looking to sell the property around 60, or are we talking about $60,000? Is that
Right. I'd like to get a little more. I mean, I'd like to get north of 60 is what I'd like to get. I mean, that's pretty close to what it's going to take for me to be interested in selling it. But if you wanted to, I don't know, I guess look at it a little bit harder and make me an offer, but
so? Okay. Let me just confirm that we're talking about the same property here. Is it a 3-bedroom, 1.5 baths?
right. It's actually a 1-bath. I mean, it's a small house. It's only it's like 850 square feet.
800. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's a small starter home. But in Killeen, there's a big market for that. Especially nowadays with the interest rates and stuff, people are looking for stuff that's more affordable. But
That is a little okay. Perfect. I mean, we can definitely make this happen. Now, do you happen to have an ideal time frame when it comes to selling this property?
just whenever you guys want.
It could be tomorrow. I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, it don't matter. It don't matter. I was over there just a couple of weeks ago, kind of cleaning it out and checking it. I was just securing windows and stuff. But it's vacant. It's ready to go.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask you that. The property was
If you wanted to send someone over to have a look at the property and look through the windows and stuff like that, you're more than welcome to do that.
Perfect. Now, let me ask you this, James. Obviously, I'm not the one who's going to run the numbers. My basic job here is just to make sure, there's the motivation of selling. And, well, according to the conversation we just we're having, obviously, you're looking to sell as soon as possible. So that's a goal. Now, is this the best number to reach at?
It is.
Now, when it comes to pricing, is this price, are you open to negotiating in case that, we can work something out? If
Well,
everything
yeah,
makes sense.
like I said, I'm a little bit flexible, but I've already had a rehabber look at it, and he's telling me, mid to north of 60, 65 to 70 is what he's told me. But if we can get in the ballpark, I'm willing to make a deal. I'm ready to move it. But it is paid off, so I don't have to sell it. But
Okay.
I know you guys, it's all a matter of numbers. It has nothing to do with the emotional end of it. If we can put a deal together, that'd be great.
Perfect. No, and it sounds like you're, willing to, as long as that we can work something out for sure. So the house is fully paid off.
Right. It is, and the taxes are up to date. I just paid those. I guess, I just did that last month. Got the taxes paid on it, so everything's good on all that.
So it's ready to sell.
Yeah, and I've already did the documents and stuff, they're all legal and legit, and there's no issues there.
Okay. Now, when it comes to decision making, are you the only one involved in the decision making of selling this property?
Yeah, for the most part. My wife, she's on the property, but she just goes with whatever that I think we should.
You decide to do.
Yeah.
So it'll be mainly you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She'll. Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Okay, James, I won't take much of your time now. Is this the best number to reach you at?
Yes.
Let me just confirm real quick time for one of our acquisition team members to give you a call back.
Just when.
It could be later on today.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. Now, James, do you happen to have any email address that you like to share with us so we can maybe exchange
right.
documents?
No, not until we get to that point. Not until we get
Okay.
the ballpark on our figure.
Okay.
But
Got you.
I'm going to tell you too, and I mean, I'm familiar with what, you know, the whole process. I get people bombarding me with me wanting to sell properties and stuff because I have some other properties. So really, for me, I really would rather not waste each other's time. And if you guys think you're in the ballpark and we've put something together, that's great. And if not, you know, I don't want to get into going back.
Further discussion, right?
Man,
No, and we understand. I mean, we all got busy lives, and we don't want to waste your time, and we don't want to waste your time. But obviously, we want to do our due diligence, make sure. I mean, like you said, we're in the ballpark. But yeah, like again, this is not, you know, it'll be definitely our acquisition team, the ones who are going to, you know, run the numbers and work that out. But I will have definitely one of them give you a call today, this number, and you know, we're sure we can work something out. I mean, we always look for win-win situations.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. That's perfect. That's what I need. I'd be happy to do that.
Now, James, when you mentioned that you have some other properties, besides this one, do you happen to have any other properties that you would be interested in selling?
No, I do own other properties, but I'm not interested in selling any of those. This one it's just a little bit too far away from my home, and so I'd like to just get rid of it.
Okay, so you figure it's better to part ways.
Well, yeah, because it's way out of the way, and I don't get to go by there nearly as often as I'd like, and I'd like to, you know, just do something different with that property over there. I've got some others here nearby that I could stand to spend a little money on, so it's probably what I'd end up doing.
Oh, okay. Totally I got a better picture now. Okay, sounds like this is definitely something that we can work on. And yeah, let me have one of my specialists give you a call later on. Hopefully by later on this afternoon. And yeah, let's work something out.
Okay, man. Sounds
there's
cool.
Potential, man.
I know, right? Maybe we can put something together. I appreciate the call.
All right, James. You have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow. That's awesome. Sounds like one. That was good. That was very good to me. I think you were, my respect, very good.
Appreciate it. That was like my first long call, and I was like, you know,
if that was
all
your
over the
first
place.
lead, if that's your first lead, my respect. I mean, you asked the right questions. Even when he said I have other properties, you jumped all over it, and your tone was awesome. You know, so yeah, man. Congrats.
Thanks, Miguel. Appreciate it, man.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. A wow came out of me too. Very good, Juan. Very, very good. All right. Who's got feedback for Juan?
Juan, good job acting like you've been there before. When the guy said, actually, I do want to sell that property. That's the one I want to sell. You didn't skip a beat, and you said, okay, fantastic, or okay, great, something like that. And you just kind of rolled into it. You started talking about the condition. So good job of keeping it even keeled and you know, taking the call when you probably weren't expecting somebody to say that they wanted to sell. I think if I missed it, it came in at the end. I always want to roll straight into motivation. You started with condition. I think I missed if he started to get his motivation, I kind of missed it, but at the end he started talking about it. Which is, if we got it, if we got it in the call, it's good. That would be my only sort of critique is this, start with the motivation, what's got you thinking about possibly selling, and kind of go from there. You got the price though, and that 60,000, you kind of cleared it up with them. You're like, you're like 60, you're talking 60,000. He's like, yeah, 60,000.
I was like, what?
I was like, wow, maybe he meant 60 million or something. But I don't know, 60 bucks. But good, man. Good call all the way around. I'll let others chime in so I don't hog the airspace. But good job.
Appreciate it, Cody.
Juan,
Right.
man, good job, man. I was impressed. That being your first long call, mine was awful. Yours, that was really good, man. You sounded really good. You had a good conversation. You kept it live. It didn't sound scripted. That was very good, man. The only thing I would chime in that you Cody didn't jump on was um, is when you're saying we're going to call back. We can't always guarantee we're going to call back that same day. Usually, just say, "Hey, we're going to call back soon. What's a good time frame for you? Morning, afternoon?" And just kind of nail it down that way. But other than that, man, you gathered all the pillars. Good conversation. Good job, man. Keep it up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, very good. Seems like Juan was practicing. I agree with Brandy's comment on the chat. All right. Yeah, so for my feedback, I think you're really good at acknowledging on the call. You do a very, very good job acknowledging the seller on the call. When you started the call with, can I ask you some questions about this and that? So don't ask permission to ask questions, right? Just ask the questions straightforward. And ask them open-ended, right? You want to make sure that you're not asking a this or that question. And that allows you also to do less of the talking with the seller, meaning that you're asking open-ended question and then you're letting them talk. You do 30% of the talking, they do 70% of they do the rest basically. So that 30% is you asking those questions, right? That are not this or that, because at that point you're gonna have to come up with more questions and your questions are gonna run out. You're gonna get like those dry one-word answers. So you want to avoid getting those type of answers and, kind of asking the questions that would give you the most and longest answer, basically. When you asked about price, again, is there any flexibility within the price range, right? A very straightforward question. I'm not sure if I catch that you asked about motivation. I'm not sure, like, I didn't have a clear picture of why he was looking to sell, or did I miss that? Or
Yeah, the property was too far, and yeah, he just want to get rid of the property and use the money to just kind of upgrade the other properties that he owns. He was basically, yeah, I believe that was the main motivation for him.
I got you. Okay. All right. So further down the call, you did a great job at the end, also asking if they had more properties that they want to sell. A lot of people miss to ask that, and it's great that you asked that because it's like two leads in one, basically, right? So good job about that. And overall, I think you sound very conversational. I would just practice the way you ask questions, and you're gonna be on a roll. So very good job. Good job.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And one, congratulations. I really loved it. What I loved about your call was that you listened predominantly. He spoke most of the time, which is another very good thing. I just wanted to ask you about the motivation. When he said the property is too far away, do you think that was a real motivation or just a cover story?
That's a good question. But then right after he said he wanted to use the money just to kind of put that money to, upgrade the other properties. So I figured like that, well, it makes sense to me. Like maybe he wants to invest in the other properties he's renting instead of this one. But yeah, I could have maybe dig in a little more.
Yeah, because that's a cover story. Because properties don't generally move, do they? They usually stay on the same street, and the properties remains where it is, and unless they've moved away or there's been a life change, and it's what I call a loose thread. So I would have liked you to pull on that loose thread a bit. You know, you want money to fix up your other properties? Is that what you want to do? Or, you know, dig a little bit deeper on that motivation, because I felt there was a story there, you know, because it's like a
Okay.
cover story that the property's too far away, you know. I mean, there must have been a life change, but to make it feel like it was too far away, because when they first bought it, it was that distance away, was it not? You know, unless he moved away, you could have asked him about that, you know, because maybe he's going to start thinking about selling his other properties. So it's one of those loose threads I would have liked you to pull on it. That's all. But your call is fantastic, First call. You're going to be a superstar at this. Yeah, I liked your tone, the way you listened, the way you mirrored. You know, you're going to be superstar. So good job. Yeah.
Thank you, Graham. Appreciate it.
100%. I want to highlight too, a lot of the feedback that you're getting that we give in here. It's there's a fine line between a cold calling and lead manager, right? So a lot of these questions, the feedback that we're giving you on is kind of geared towards that. You're set up for it though. Like your inquisitive kind of skepticism that you have, the way you ask a question, like let me clear this up. 60, you mean 60,000? Like I like the way that you ask, you ask the people these questions. And it's okay to keep digging deeper into that. You know what I mean? That's what Graham's getting into. If this is feedback for everybody in here, if we kind of think of it that way, that the surface level answers that we get from our sellers at first, it's just a cover story. You know, it'll hold you in good stead if you keep digging a little bit more. It'll just make your calls that much better. It won't take that much more time. It'll just make you that much better of a cold caller even. You know, because you'll really be able to get at what people are saying. So do you want to recognize that it's kind of, you know, lead manager feedback that we're giving you, but you're capable of doing it. And it'll make your calls that much better. You'll have that much, the quality of your conversations will be that much better. You'll fill in some of these blanks. So those questions and curiosity to things that don't make sense to you, go ahead and clear that up with them, you know, in a respectful way, in a conversational way, like you were doing. And ask those questions. Too far away? What do you mean it's too far away? Like Graham was saying. Oh, okay. And then you'll get into it and you'll have a richer, deeper understanding of what their situation is and why they may or may not want to sell.
Thank you.
Right on.
All right. Good job, Juan. Very good job, especially to be one of your first calls. So yeah, keep it up. Okay, it is top of the hour, but I did say I have a treat for you guys tonight. So I'm going to share my screen and show you guys the video of the next testimonial we have. So we saw, I think we saw Cody's, we saw TJ's. So now we're going to look at Chung's video and Graham too. So it's a double treat for you guys. All right, let's do it. Let me know if you guys can hear it, because sometimes when I share screen. Okay, are we ready? It's the draft, by the way. We still need to make a couple of edits, but pretty close to being done.
I could never imagine myself doing cold calling. Like, I was actually so scared of it. But I feel like I'm a different person now after doing the No Excuses program for 4 weeks to 5 weeks now. Before joining No Excuses program, I had no experience with cold calling or talking to people on the phone regularly. And with joining it, it's really put me into the position where I'm able to actually get on the phones and talk to people and actually get comfortable with people on the phone, where it's a skill where I didn't have before. And there was no way that I would have been able to do this. I could never imagine myself doing cold calling. Like, I was actually so scared of it. Like, even before the first call, thinking of cold calling, I would just like butterflies in my stomach.
Hi, is this Maria? No. No? Sorry,
No.
Is this the owner of Hollister? No.
well. But I feel like I'm a different person now after doing the No Excuses program for about 4 weeks to 5 weeks now. It's definitely changed me to be able to speak to people on the phone.
Hey Jeffrey, this is Lee. I'm a local home buyer. I'm calling by property in Tendio Court. Are you open to selling that by any chance?
Nope.
Gotcha. Do you happen to have other properties you're looking to sell, or know someone in the neighborhood that needs to sell?
I have other properties that I'm selling, yes.
I saw the No Excuses program, Drew's Shots cold calling Zoom on the Subsidy calendar, and I watched one or two, but as I'm watching it, you can see everyone in that program practice their calls, and you hear their calls live. So that's where I started going, oh, maybe I could do that too. You know, in order to actually get better and get started, you got to take the first step, and I felt like this was an easy way to put you into that position where you could get started, because, you know, they take out all the excuses. So that's how I found out about it, and I joined the first time. Like, I thought about joining it for a week because I was still nervous, but eventually I was like, let me just do this, so I really need to take action steps, and this really put me on a path to my journey. What I see myself doing next after graduating from the No Excuses program, I would definitely have the skills to be able to negotiate with sellers and close deals, and with that, I'd be able to find my own leads and call them to and make deals happen using the skills I've learned from the program. When I first started, I didn't know I was going to be able to do this, but I feel like from this program, I would be able to go into those roles. And that was kind of the role I wanted to do in the beginning, but I didn't have the skills to. But lead managing and closing and negotiating, it's kind of the role I saw myself doing in this business. But before, I was kind of an introvert, so I wasn't really sure how I was actually going to talk to sellers or get the leads. I was thinking about JVing with other Sub-2 students and marketing by like texting or sending out like postcards, but I wanted to take a more active approach to getting leads, and I felt like this was a way to try to do it. No Excuse has given me the ability to use their dialer and their calling list, and to be able to give me an opportunity to get out there and actually talk to people. I just want to thank everyone in this program so much for all the support and help. I don't think I ever would have been able to do this without you guys, and I just appreciate you guys so much.
Oh, John, that's so cute.
The edits are really good though. I like how the the video, the graphics.
Right? It did not come out how we recorded it, right?
I was like, there's no way that testimonial is gonna look smooth, because I was stuttering through the whole thing. I was like, oh crap, what am I gonna say? You know, but whoever did that made that look like one smooth like interview.
Yeah, I know. Sunny did a great job. He's amazing at the video editing. But fun fact about Sunny, he was actually a cold caller. And then he had a secret talent for video editing. And then we brought him onto that part. So
that was really good though.
Diana was his biggest champion. I'm like, no, he could be a good video editor for sure. I think he's got potential. So we're like, okay. He's still cold calls right now. He's still on the dialer a couple hours here and there, helping us out because of the volume right now that we got. But yeah, great video, Chung.
Yeah, thanks. I was kind of stressing about it for a week, so I was like, oh man, how's that video gonna come out? You know.
It comes out good. Cody's came out great. TJ's we still got to publish, and then who's the other? Did Graham do one or no?
yes, that's the next treat.
Oh boy,
All right.
Loose threads. Here we go.
All right.
My experience with the No Excuses program in general has been wonderful. Very attractive, the conveyor belt idea, because having the systems in place leverages our time, having the tools in place, and the experience and knowledge of the team. My experience with the No Excuses program in general has been wonderful. It's fulfilled all my expectations. I know I've still got a lot to learn, and that's why I keep regularly turning up to the calls. In fact, even just last night, I've learned so much stuff, and we never stop learning. In fact, real estate's such a huge subject. So the No Excuses program, I was on there for about a month, and then got invited to the team. Simply join the program. You've got nothing to lose. Warning, it isn't stepping out of your comfort zone. But whenever you are stepping out of your comfort zone, that's where you grow. So if you're serious about your trade, you will gain the skills on this program for sure. Very attractive, the conveyor belt idea, because having the systems in place leverages our time. That was a big one as well, having the tools in place. And then the experience and knowledge of the team, well organized, and clearly shows a leader that's extremely committed, to the success of everyone on the team. So having leaders that believe in you is so vital.
Aw, Graham, that's so cute.
That's terrible. That was
Wow.
awesome. That's great.
Awesome.
Cool.
Good stuff, John.
You look great.
Guys,
You
I'm
look
also
great.
really good at editing videos.
Thank you.
Also
Yeah.
music.
Well,
Just wanted to.
everyone's great. So that's why I keep turning up. I think we're learning together and growing. And I just appreciate all of you and the way you all contribute and jump in. And we're growing together. And big thanks to Shad and Ali, who tremendous value always. So thank you.
Appreciate you, Graham. Likewise. Yeah. It's a team effort. It really is. It's the whole squad, right? No one person, 2 people, 3 people can do that. It's everybody. And then, we learned it from Pace, right? Paying it forward, being a go-giver. Phenomenal things can happen. And then here we are with our own little community and our own team. And it's pretty awesome what we're doing here. Some good stuff.
All righty. Awesome. Hope you guys like the treats. All right.
Awesome.
Okay, nice. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for attending tonight's training. I appreciate each and every one of you. Tomorrow we'll be back at it again. Same time, same link, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time zone. We do have a Facebook group. If you're not part of the Facebook group yet, please be sure to join. We're actually growing so fast. We're at 1.8K. So 1,800 members on the group right now. That's crazy. So thank you guys for joining and inviting other people in the real estate. Please keep doing it. Our goal is to get to 2K, right? I shot by the end of next month or starting next month. So
It'll probably be next month since we only have 4 days left this month. But
yeah,
I think we're growing at about 100 per week right now. But there's a couple things in the works that might make that grow faster. We'll see. And this audience grow quite a bit more. We'll see what happens here. I'm working on a couple things. So
okay, awesome.
we'll see.
Hey, I have a quick question before we wrap up. Normally when we are on training from 8:30, do we have to log in on, what do you call this? Send call
Yes, you do.
on training? Oh, okay. So I did. Okay, good. Good to know.
All right,
Alrighty.
everybody. I hope you all have a great night. Thank you so much again, and I will see you again tomorrow, same time, same link.
Thank you.
Guys,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye,
See you
everyone.
guys.